What's up, goaltenders and goaltending fans? Welcome to The Net Perspective from therink.com, where we talk about all things goaltending. As always, we are brought to you by our founding sponsors at puckhockey.com. That's puckhcky.com. You can see it the other side here, right there, where you can get all your metal-themed hockey wear and all that stuff. They just, the band Seether, they just released that, so that's great. But they got all kinds of great stuff. Go there, use the discount code THERINK, THERINK, all together, and you'll get 10% off your order. And we would really appreciate if you go there and you support the site and you support the podcast by going there and getting yourself some rink wear, or you could get yourself some heavy metal themed hockey wear. I am Jeff Osborne, aka Gatekeeper or Puck and Hustle on social media. And over in that other window, this way, right here, you can see him right there, is my friend Jeremy Dutch Burton. Between us, we have 50 years of playing and coaching experience in the crease. We may be right, we may be wrong, but we'll give you the honest perspective of the least understood position, maybe in sports. And that's why we're here. So, yeah. So, what's up, Dutch? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. I just got back from New Jersey. I was in New Jersey for my kid's ball hockey tournament. Things went real well there. So he won this championship, 10 goals in 4 games. And of course, he's not following his father into the crease. So
not yet, at least. Not yet.
Yeah. He doesn't want that. He's tried it. I've made him play goalie a couple times. He's not into it. So
I think it's a good idea for every kid to at least try it at least once.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it gives
you
a whole new perspective. Once. Yeah, it definitely gives you a whole new perspective. He's tried it a couple times, so now he understands. And he understands he doesn't want to do it. So anyway, I threw this thing together today because I saw something on the internet that really interested me. And I thought this is the perfect thing for us to have our second episode. So this episode, we are joined by Surjan Singh, the creator of the UNCAGE. Now, what is the UNCAGE, you ask? We're gonna let you know what the UNCAGE is. We're gonna let Surjan talk all about it as well. But I didn't think it would do it justice, me explaining it. I thought maybe we should have his Twitter video that he put up, which I thought was really well done. I'm going to put it up so he can give you a little bit of an encapsulation of what he has created and why it may open things up and think outside the box for goaltending in the future. So here I'm going to play the video, and then we'll talk to Surjan about his expertise and all that stuff. So here we go.
Dear goalies, you've refined your sense of sight to a near psychic superpower with weird-looking warm-ups, rigorous but ridiculous rituals, and trend-setting training tools. But goaltending is so much more than hard work and dedication. It's about shiny new equipment, like this new cage I've been working on, which I'm calling the UNCAGE. Cat-eye cages are great, but they've been around for 50 years, and loads of new materials have been invented since then. One of those materials is Dyneema, 3 times stronger than titanium and used in bulletproof vests. By using Dyneema, I was able to make the bars of the UNCAGE 5 times thinner than a traditional cat-eye. To match the visibility of the UNCAGE, you'd have to take out 75% of the bars on your current cage. It's simple. More visibility leads to more saves, more wins, more championships, fatter contracts, the love and adoration of everyone around you, and all of your hopes and dreams coming true. If all this sounds too good to be true, it's not. My background is in mechanical engineering, and most recently I worked on spaceships at Virgin Galactic. Of course, my incredibly impressive background won't protect your face, but the UNCAGE will. Here's some proof. This is footage of a puck impacting the UNCAGE at 83 miles an hour. For reference, HECC certified cages are tested at 36 meters per second, which works out to 81 miles per hour. I'm looking for an NHL and a PWHPA goalie to help me finish developing the UNCAGE. If you're interested, please visit singhockey.com or email me at hello@singhockey.com. Thank you.
So there we are. The UNCAGE. So Surjan, you have the floor. Give us a little bit more on top of your video about your UNCAGE.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on. This is cool. Yeah, so the UNCAGE is just kind of an idea that came to me like probably 9 months ago. You know, I've been a huge hockey fan as long as I can remember, and started playing maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Not as a goalie. I'm not crazy enough to do that. But you know, so hockey's pretty constantly on my mind, and it's just one of those things that you know, it kind of came out of nowhere, the idea. But once it got in my brain, it just wouldn't leave until I did something about it. So yeah, over the last 8-9 months, I've been tinkering on this thing. Started out a lot different from what it looks now, but you know, over time and just a lot of iterations, I've got to where I am now. Yeah, the basic idea was to use sort of the principles of tension, kind of like, I guess you could say how a net works, or even how a bulletproof vest works. You know, if you think about, I guess, to get a little bit technical, like to carry a force in tension is the most efficient way to carry that force. If you think about like a rope swing, for instance, you have like just a thin rope going up to the tree, and you can put your whole body weight on that, and that's fine. But if you imagine trying to flip that over and have the rope on the ground and the seat up top, it obviously collapses. And the reason for that is, you know, when you have things in compression or in bending, compression being like, you know, pushing, and bending, just that bending motion, you need to carry a lot more structure just to maintain stability. With tension, you don't really have that problem. So hence sort of the rope swing example. So it's kind of along those lines is what I was thinking, to be able to use tension, sort of the principles of nets and bulletproof vests, and even use the materials there. You know, I had thought that, you know, potentially I could do a lot better visibility in using those ideas. And so, yeah, over the course of months of development, kind of got to where I am now with this cage.
That's awesome, man. I mean, that's something that, and I was talking about this with Dutch, and I'm gonna let him jump in a second. That's kind of something that Dutch and I were talking about before you actually came on. Is like, you know, you're seeing the goalie pads, they're evolving from the old pillow pads that just, you know, from the 80s to now what they've turned into nowadays with the special foams for, you know, some foams you can kick, you know, rebounds out past the center line. Some absorb a little more, but the cages on masks and helmets haven't changed a whole lot since they were created. Like you said, 50 years. I've used a cat eye cage. I used a cat eye cage with an old helmet, with an old CCM helmet when I started, and I progressed to a cat eye cage on a mask, on a fiberglass mask. But that all being said, it's all been a cat eye. It's all been you know, just a steel bar that's you know, wrapped in plastic, or it's encased in plastic or whatever. It hasn't changed a whole lot. I've seen there's a company up in Canada that they make custom cages for existing masks, and they're very heavy duty. Dutch, you might be able to help me with the name on that if you remember.
I don't know offhand.
Yeah, I would have to look it up, but I actually almost ordered one. But they're $140 to get one of those, and they're not too different than the ones we have now. They're just a little bit more sturdy. So, but yeah, like thinking outside the box. That's the thing that I like to see about goalie stuff, is thinking outside the box. Dutch, I know you've got questions. Jump in, man.
I think the biggest thing for me is as a goaltender, I've always generally used a straight bar. And it wasn't until last year that I switched to a cat eye to try it out, and I've been kind of stuck with it since. I still have the straight bar, but I grew up as a kid with a straight bar. Up until now, I've played with a straight bar. The cat eye I like, but my biggest issue isn't so much the pucks as far as it's the sticks. From people who don't necessarily control their sticks. There was a game, I think Blackhawks versus Oilers 2 years ago, where Taves butt end got caught in the cat eye, one of the goalies, and he tried ripping it out. So sticks are what concerns me more than the actual puck, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And you know, that's something I think the overall principle of my design is pretty flexible. I think, you know, eventually with enough development, I think I could even do fully certified cages with gaps small enough, you know, to get that certification. And that, you know, these are the kinds of discussions that I wanted to have as I continue to develop the cage with the pros, because you know, at their level, it's not quite so obvious. Like, would they take that 2% trade-off, like, you know, reduce your visibility by 2% to improve your safety by, you know, 2%? Like, every goalie I've talked to has sort of had like a different threshold for that. And so I think, you know, with my design, I can definitely create cages that would be sort of stick proof. You know, the butt end side of things, I'm not so sure about. I think butt ends are so small they can even get through like the straight bar cages. So I'm, you know, I probably, you know, unless you're doing like a full, I don't know, like a fencing mask, I don't think you're gonna get quite there, but definitely on the blade end of things, that's something I can do, and something, yeah, like I said, I've been talking to the goalies I've been talking to get their input on sort of which way they would prefer to go, and I think the majority agree with you that added safety is worth the slight reduction in visibility. So yeah, I'll probably be adding an extra bar or two to my cage.
Right.
I think it's pretty amazing that you can do that and give so much, because your video said what, 75% increased visibility. So even if you added a couple more bars, the gain is still there.
Yeah.
You know, and me personally, like as a cat eye, I don't necessarily care for it, but if that design is adaptable to a straight bar, I'd be all over it. Because you do lose vision in a straight bar, hands down. And if I can gain, even if I can gain a little bit, like 10%, 20%, it's something that I myself would be willing to try.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as far as seeing it, I almost see like that's something college players might want to use too as a player helmet. You know, that's another drastic thing to go, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of players in college, like you're saying, players use their use those cages or the fish bowls, which I can't stand them. I don't like them. But they use the fish bowls so they can get more visibility with less obstruction. I actually suggested to my kid that if you wanted to go to the fish bowl, do the one with the half cage, half fish bowl. If you want the visibility in the eyes, I know, you know, when you look down, it could be, you know, a little bit of a hindrance, but it will help. But you go back to saying like the butt ends and stuff like that. And Surjan, you brought up a great point that like some of the sticks and butt ends nowadays, people don't put big butt ends on their sticks anymore. And some of them are almost nothing. And I don't use much of a butt end on my stick. I know Dutch, you use a bigger butt end than I do, but I barely use much of a butt end on my stick. And just as an example, like I was saying before, is my kid, we went out to New Jersey this weekend to play in a ball hockey tournament. And part of the rule was the butt end on any stick had to be big enough to not fit through a cage, whether it's regular cage because all the kids are wearing cages out there, or the goalie cage out there. They of course, if you have a cat eye, and you're not going to have kids wearing cat eye cages because that's not certified. But even the goalies with the full cages, like you had to have your butt end, and if it was, of course they don't test it every game, but if they test it, you're not gonna be able to use that stick. So that's another thing. Like you could very well make a full bar cage with the style that you have, and the bars won't be as thick. You could even have twice as much material, as far as like not the same amount of not the same amount of bar, or double the amount of bars, because of what the material you're using is so much thinner.
Mhm.
So that could be something as well. I'd be interested in seeing something like that.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully someday I can get there. It's funny because you were talking about player cages, and that's actually where the idea sort of started. Because like I said, I started playing hockey a couple years ago as a skater myself, so I used the full cage, and selfishly it was kind of an idea for me to start. And actually, like I have one of like my very first prototype. You're gonna laugh at this, but this is my very first prototype that I made.
Wow,
It's
that's great.
kind of like the old school NFL helmets, like those giant
right,
plus sign bars in front of your face.
for sure.
Instead of any sort of Kevlar or anything, I just had sort of whatever cotton thread I had lying around. Just kind of as like a 3D sketch to help you visualize, what my idea was. But yeah, so eventually I would love to do player cages. I would love to do certified cages. But yeah, for now, I'm trying. It's a one-man show here, so just trying to keep my focus really, really narrow on the pro levels, because it's funny because like some I've gotten messages from like beer league guys who are like, oh yeah, you can test it on my face, like I don't care, and it's like wait, hold on, like just because someone's making like millions of dollars playing hockey versus someone who's paying to play hockey, like to me their face is equivalent value.
Right, yeah.
Like,
sure.
I don't want to see anyone getting injured, no matter how expensive their face is. So
and unfortunately, with the way goalies are, like my mask is pretty beat up. I mean, it'll stop a shot, but again, I'm not facing 100-mile-an-hour shot either.
Yeah.
So, but I know Jeremy, I you still using that mask you've been using for like 15 years, or did you get a new one?
No, I upgraded when I got back to playing competitive for Narch and that. So the Narch Pro and Platinum series. So when I started playing again, first investment was new mask.
Yeah.
And that was out of necessity, because if I was just playing beer leagues or things like that, could I use my mask that I've been using for 15 years? Yeah. When you start getting back up into the pro level or platinum level for inline, you're playing, for instance, Pro Series. Pat Maroon plays Pro Series. He plays with Car Shield. So there are NHL players that do shoot the puck. So it's not like you're facing scrubs. And I know if I lost my teeth or came home with a black eye because I was wearing a helmet that was 15 years old, my wife would kill me.
Yeah.
What are you doing, you idiot?
Yeah.
Either that or she's going to tell you to get a better insurance policy. No, go ahead.
For me,
sorry.
But also, like, it took me forever to try a cat eye. The first time I tried a cat eye, put it on first game, one of the bars got caved in. And not significantly, but okay, brand new cage. You're going to see that with helmets. And with a straight bar, it would have been caved into regardless of what it was. But I feel like, as far as the uncage goes, what type of inspection would you recommend for the material or for the cage? Because I know one thing that I tell the goalies that I coach, or even that I do, is I go through, I make sure the cage isn't super bent. If it's bent, I'll replace it. If it's loose, I tighten it up. I'm just fickle about that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, and that's a great way to be about your gear too. So the honest answer is I'm not 100% sure yet, and that's kind of part of the process where I'm at. I'm still very much in the middle of developing this thing, and because of the interest that the goalie community has shown, like I will be able to continue to develop this thing. And so things like durability are going to be questions that I answer. My intention obviously is to make it is not to make an indestructible cage. It's to make something that fails sort of gracefully and safely, kind of like you mentioned, in a way that that middle metal bar will bend and release energy safely that way, rather than anything sort of snapping or being dangerous in that way. So it's going to be a little work to get there, but the end goal is for your inspection to be pretty similar. Like if it'll hopefully just be, oh, this bar is bent, time to get a new cage, or maybe send it back to get it restrung or something. maybe that'll be possible with the UNCAGE. But yeah, obviously there's still a ways to go in terms of the testing I need to do.
Yeah, and just to give props to the company I was mentioning before, it's Guardian Angel Cages. I think they're out of somewhere in Quebec, but those are the ones that I was talking about. That cage is the heavy duty cage that they're selling out there. Now to shift gears a little bit, I had two questions. One of them or maybe it's more of a comment than a question. I've noticed when I wear cages, some of the helmets, they come with chrome cages on. And I have a real problem with chrome cages. The reflection of the lights coming off the chrome cages, I'm not used to it. It takes me time to get adjusted. I've always worn a black cage. Back when I was a kid, my only choice was a white cage, but I've never done the chrome. I don't like the chrome cages. I noticed some of yours is chrome, and also on top of all that, if you look at the cage and people, could see from the video and stuff, the quote unquote bars are they look like cables. How pliable or flexible in movement are they, or are they very stationary?
Yeah. So for the first point, the chrome aspect, yeah, there are, so the outer frame and the sort of central bar are stainless steel at this point. So I didn't do any sort of finishing to them, so they're kind of that natural chrome. But that's obviously something I could do just like any other cage. You could do powder coat and have sort of any color under the sun. For your second point, it's flexible, but not like scarily flexible. It's so there will be movement, but it won't be enough to bring the puck right to your face. Obviously, that would be kind of pointless. So it does, but that's part of the beauty of this cage is it does have a little bit of compliance to it. So it's again similar to the bulletproof vest in that way. Like it's
catching. It's almost catching the puck slightly.
Yeah, I think the aim is less. I'd rather not catch and more sort of deflect or sort of sort of slingshot it out. But there is a bit of give for sure compared to metal bars.
So when you're saying tension, what popped into my head is a bike wheel with spokes. If that makes any sense. You have your center hub, which would kind of be like that center bar. It's laced through that nipple, and you tighten it, and you can get some give. You can straighten the rim out a little bit away. And that's just what popped into my head right away when you guys were talking, like how it's strung, how that's done. And I kind of like that idea to where, you said send it back to get restrung. Now, would that be a case of manufacturer doing it, or is that something that a guy who's been playing can do it?
I I don't really know at this point. I can tell you the initial prototypes that I've been making are, it does require a little bit of understanding. There's some splicing that I do. So, perhaps if there is someone who is comfortable with splicing, maybe that's something they could do on their own eventually, but probably, in the beginning, for liability reasons and all those sorts of fun adult things, it'd probably have to come back to the manufacturer, I would guess. Yeah.
Right.
Because I really like the idea of something that, hey, my cage needs to be redone, send it back to the manufacturer, and you get it back, and it's ready to go. No questions asked. With the current cage, I have to go out. I have to buy one. It's the same process. If you look at it, you have to do this to do this. And personally, it's the gain in visibility. What are you really paying for? Like your video said, you stop more pucks, you achieve your dreams, you get love and admiration because you're stopping pucks.
Yep.
As goalies, we need all the love and admiration we get because Lord knows we don't get enough of that.
Yeah, right. If we do our job, we just do our job. If we give up a goal, we didn't do our job. And it's pretty much, we don't get any love anywhere. But the other thing too is like, you could kind of sell that to a goalie, like you're getting your cage recertified. Because when I go out there and I get my bar gets bent, and it's happened just like you said. I think maybe the second time I went out there, I had my bar on my cage, and I've played for months with a bent bar on my cage, which probably it's a liability and all that stuff. But my the only fix to that is me going out and buying another 75, 80, or like I mentioned before, $130 cage. If you could, send it back to a manufacturer, get your cage recertified, restrung for, I don't know, 3/4 of that price or whatever the case is, like maybe that's, something as well where this is going to last longer in the long run because you can get it fixed where you can't get a regular bar cage fixed. You just can't. You just got to go get a new one. It would cost double the amount of buying a new one to get it fixed. So, that's something to, from the other side of things, kind of devil's advocate with this is you could, send it back, get it restrung and recertified and sent right back, and you can put it right back in your helmet.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. And even what we were saying earlier, like that middle metal bar, like even if you take a really, really hard shot and you get something bent, like considering everything's sort of piecemeal, is send back just the outer frame and that you could restring and get you a new crossbar. I think there's all sorts of pretty interesting possibilities with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, as far as this material goes, obviously you're dealing with it in cages. Is it something that we could maybe possibly see in other types of goalie equipment? Because I know we had that conversation, and my personal opinion is the goalie equipment has come a long way since it was cricket pads, and they've been modified, and I feel, okay, we lost pretty much the leather straps on the leg pads to now more of a Velcro, so you can get that turn. There's that overturn, underturn, there's all that. But I almost feel like we're kind of stuck right now as far as design goes, and we're more into how do we make the materials better? What can we use? What foams? What fabrics? What slides better? What repels water? So is this something material as far as the cage goes that can be incorporated maybe down the line into something else, like a new pad or a stick or down the line?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought. I've haven't really I guess projected out that far. It is a similar material to Kevlar. So I think anywhere you've got like the Kevlar socks and stuff. I think so kind of those applications are the first thing that come to mind. I'm not entirely sure where you could use this material. It's something I'll probably start thinking about now that you've mentioned it. But I've got a few more ideas in the pipeline that if should this sort of take off and give me enough money to keep doing this sort of thing. I've got a few more ideas kicking around. It's not with this material in general, but a few other things to help you guys out.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, because there are things like you were saying with the Kevlar, that like neck guards for so you don't get sliced on the neck, or we've seen goalies the past couple of years getting sliced on the thighs and things like that, and that's why they have socks that are cut resistant and things like that. So maybe I don't even know how you would incorporate all of that, or if it could be woven into something like a neck guard, because I said that buy my kid a cut resistant neck guard so that he falls down on the ice and someone steps on his neck, he doesn't get his jugular cut. And we've seen that happen in the pros. So, and and even going back to, like, I know I'm going way back here, and I apologize to the fans, but I know I'm going way back here, but just in the playoffs, you had Darcy Kemper get a stick in his cage, and he hurt his eye, and he was out for the majority of a series, and we don't know how he was, what kind of condition he was in the cup, and we don't know how it may affect him down the road long term. And he just got a stick blade jammed in his cage. So that was another thing I wanted to bring up, and I didn't want it to be forgotten about. But yeah, so maybe this material more than we do, so maybe there is a practical application in some of that, where it could be woven into a fabric or something like that, or underneath a fabric, or inside a sweatband or something like that. I don't even know, but those are all possibilities as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you guys got me thinking now. So who knows what'll come of this?
That's the whole purpose of this. That's the whole purpose of the podcast, is get people talking about goalie stuff, draw attention to things. Maybe some good comes out of it. So the fact that you're like, hey, thinking about it, we've done our job today.
Yeah.
I like this. I like all this critical thinking. I love this. This is what we need about the position. It's not just about styles and training and development, but it's about the equipment too. The equipment's huge. Like nowadays, they're doing special things with a lot of this equipment, and chest protectors can be bulky, and we've both Dutch and I have brought that up. We're very particular on our chest protectors. Maybe there's a way that they can make a lighter, thinner chest protector that can protect us enough where we can actually feel where the puck's, coming from and stuff like that. And it's pliable enough for us to wear, or light enough to wear. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Because I know, Kevlar could be very heavy. You watch cops walk around with Kevlar vests on, and the second they can take them off, they're taking them off because they're heavy, heavy. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Dutch, you got anything else?
As far as, I like the idea, I'm very interested to see where it goes. Like I said, my concern would be the sticks, but knowing that there's flexibility in the design to add bars or remove bars to where you guys can switch things up, it's something for me that I for sure would try. Whether it was warm-ups, on ice, practice, couple beer league games, and work my way up to, going to play a Miha tournament or an Arch tournament with it. I feel, because not a lot of people know it, it be turned into the refs wouldn't know what to do with it. If that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah. Especially in big tournaments. Like they're not going to know. They want hex certified masks. They want to see this. If it's something weird and different, they're going to check into it. If it's something that everyone else has got, they kind of are a little bit lax on it. But if you come out there with something that's crazy over the top, like this is, it's going to look crazy over the top, when you first come out with something like that, they're going to be like, oh my God, what is this? And how do we even look and see if this is if we could use this kind of thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I would generally think that if a ref who hasn't seen it before or hasn't been talked to about it before looks at that, they're going to be like, no, you can't use that. Go back and get something else. But
Yeah.
you know, it's going to take time for people to really look into stuff like that. And it's weird because like, Surjan, I'm sure you've seen like, you know, how the NHL was with equipment. There's a lot of equipment manufacturers out there, but not a lot of them can make it in the NHL because they don't have the licensing rights and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's some ones that I really like out there that I'll never see in the NHL because of the fact that there's licensing issues and things like that. But, you know, the AHL, the ECHL, junior hockey, things like that might be a place where you could get a test bed for something like that. And maybe even like Dutch said, roller hockey, you know, there's high level roller hockey tournaments out there where you can sometimes get away with things, you know, as long as they're safe, that you can get away with things. Cause people don't, you know, in those tournaments, people don't always wear the highest level of equipment. You know, they wear the minimum, some wear the minimum of what you have to wear. So, you know, you never know. You never know.
I feel as a cage, especially with the roller hockey side of things, I feel that something as far as the cage design goes that I would be able to get away with trying out and using in my rec games, even my Miha tournaments, just because, you know, like I'm the goalie. I'm always there. Like they know me, the refs know me, everybody knows me. It's something that I could get away with to where it wouldn't be questioned. Does that make sense? Like just because I'm always at the rink.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, I'm the same way. Like refs, not as much as it used to be, but the refs all seem to know me when I played inline hockey too, as well, because you're there all the time. You get up, you know, you get that friendship with the referees and all the players because you're going to the same rinks, you're doing all that stuff. And even in the Miha leagues, like, you know who runs it, you know who refs it most of the time.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. But you know, there's state wars and there's things like that. That might be a good place because you're going to get good hard shots. The puck isn't quite as heavy as Surjan. I don't even know if you're familiar with like inline roller hockey, but the puck isn't as heavy as, you know, an ice hockey puck. It's a little lighter. It comes in faster, but not as hard. So, you know, that's something too that's worth thinking about, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, you know, like for my development plan, basically, you know, I've been fortunate enough that this idea has seemed to kind of taken off, and I've gotten to talk to a lot of really cool people over this last week. And it's, you know, I've gotten some good contacts, and it's looking like, you know, one of the first places it might appear is actually in women's hockey in the PHF. You know, because the regulations, as far as I can tell, are a little more lax. The goalies kind of are, you know, it's their decision as to what they put on their faces. And obviously, in women's hockey, shot speed, you know, you don't have any Zdeno Charas, you know, hammering away. So you know, the top speed of those shots is a little lower, and closer to the shot speed that I've already tested. So, you know, I've been fortunate enough to talk to two PHF goalies, and they're interested in helping me develop this cage. So it's looking like that might be the first league where you might see the UNCAGE. So, you know, it would be a hugely exciting development opportunity there. But yeah, I mean, there's
awesome.
all sorts, you know, the thing I'm trying to do, again, like one man show, trying to keep it really, really narrow and focused.
Yeah.
You know, the more leagues you have, as you say, like each league has kind of their own gatekeepers, you could call them. Yeah, you know, it's like you need to know sort of who in the league is sort of responsible for checking equipment, sort of giving it that okay. So you know, since I'm so early on, I'm just trying to stick to these 1 or 2 leagues, and
Mhm.
you know, if I can somehow manage to deliver on my promises and get it into the PHF or even the NHL, like I think that would help a lot with, you know, going down to the non-pro leagues, because they might have already seen it in an NHL game or
Mhm.
something like that, you know.
Mhm.
So that's the dream.
Awesome.
We'll see what happens.
Well, I think it would be great to, you know, keep in touch and, you know, do this again and see where you're at and keep updating. Like, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we're at. I know that's something I would love to do.
Yeah, that is my plan in this whole thing, is try and follow the process, or follow your process, and see that you get, you know, some success, some testing and all that stuff, and see how it actually turns out. I'd like to follow this process and see what happens, and then, you know, maybe check back in 3 months or whatever and see what happened, and see what kind of stories you have as far as, you know, what you found, and where it, you know, what it's grown into, or what it's, you know, eventually molded into, because it I'm sure it's not going to stay exactly the way your prototype is. You're going to have to make changes, you're going to have to make adjustments, and I'm curious as to what it's going to get to be, because I think that, you know, there's a possibility this could turn into something, and someday down the road we could see a bunch, you know, NHL teams and NHL goalies wearing UNCAGE is out there, and I think that would be really awesome to see.
Yeah.
So
I hope so. Yeah, I would love to do that. I think it'd be fun to follow up with you guys, see where I'm at in a few months.
for sure, I'm sure we will do that. We will definitely do that.
So I got a quick question for you. This is not hockey related. I see the car in the background. I got to know what it is.
Yeah, that guy. It's a 1968 Saab 96.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat little car. It's got a V4, and you know, shifter, you know, 4 on the tree actually.
That's awesome.
It's you know, it's got a ton of character, and by character I mean it overheats so much that I have to turn the heat on inside, so you know, you kind of let the engine temperature drop a little bit. As soon as I go past 10 miles an hour, it thinks I'm doing 120 on the speedo. You know, so it's a great car though. I love it.
That is awesome.
I had to ask. I'm a car guy. Besides goalie, I'm a car guy, and just got my motorcycle running. So I saw it in the background. I was like, gotta ask.
I was gonna ask, but I got sidetracked, and I'm glad you asked, Dutch. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yep.
That's great. Well, I think we could probably wrap all this up here. Again, thanks, Surjan. I really appreciate you coming on and making the time, and you've been real gracious and everything. Great guy. I'm looking forward, and I'm really pulling for you. I'm hoping this comes through, and I'm hoping this turns into something, because it's good to see good people succeed with great ideas, and, you know, just with good intentions, and that's where I think this is. That's why I thought it was great to have you on. So,
Yeah, no,
you got any last word?
Yeah, I appreciate that so much. That's very kind of you, and I appreciate you guys having me on this. You know, this second ever episode. This is it's an honor for me.
Yeah. Well, it's great. It all worked out, because, you know, I've done hundreds of other episodes of other podcasts, but this one is a new thing. It's our little baby. Dutch and I, you know, we stood out in my driveway about 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Actually, it's longer than that.
Catching up.
Yeah, catching up, talking about it, and we said we were going to do this, and I finally was able to put it together. So it's an honor for us to have you on. And we're glad that it's moving forward, and you're having success with this so far, and we wish you great success, you know, going forward with this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, even though you're not a goalie, I still feel you're one of us, because you're thinking about protecting us, and that means the world.
Yeah, that means you're an unofficial part of the goalie union. So
appreciate it.
So, with all that being said, thanks to everyone for listening, watching, all that stuff. This is the Net Perspective, brought to you by puckhockey.com. That's puckhcky.com. You can go there. You can use the rink is the discount code. Use that to get all your stuff, your metal themed hockey wear and all that stuff. You can get this on all of your favorite podcatchers. You can get it on YouTube. You can get it on Facebook Live. You can get it on Twitter Live. Is some of you might be seeing this right now. So make sure you subscribe on, on not on Twitter, but on Apple or on Google or any of that stuff. If you like what we're talking about here, hopefully we can bring you more stuff. You can always email us at TNP for the net perspective at the-rink.com. You could send us ideas, requests to come on the podcast and talk about stuff, any of that stuff. We would greatly appreciate any of that stuff. We would appreciate if you'd share it out to your friends and let everybody know that you like what we're talking about, or maybe you don't like what we're talking about. Review us on iTunes. Let us know. You put up a good, funny review or something like that. I'll read it on the air, or Dutch. Maybe I'll make Dutch read it on the air.
I'll do it.
But so with all that, like I said, the video versions on YouTube, on Facebook Live, and on Twitter, so you can see that. Or if you're listening this on, on iTunes or something like that, you get the audio version as well. Surjan, you got any last words you want? Any last plugs you want to put out there?
No, I get just, I think on my Twitter, on my, I've been keeping a little build log. So if you want to, check, how I was feeling, when I came up with the idea all the way through, I almost quit this project probably like 3-4 months in. So if you want to read all of my trials and tribulations, feel free to go there.
And I did watch that one video where you kind of showed where you went through all that. I mean, the video we showed was kind of like the encapsulation of everything and your ideas and all that stuff. But there was actually other videos on there of you like trial and error stuff, which was very interesting as well. So go over to his your Twitter is just like your name, Surjan Singh and _ after it, correct?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, and there's also a link to the blog at singhockey.com, so you can go there too.
Perfect. Dutch, you got anything else?
All I got to say is I look forward to seeing it and possibly even trying one out one of these days.
Awesome.
What can I say? I'm always willing to give something new a try, I guess. Back in the day, I wasn't. Now I kind of have to update to the times. It's
I'm the same way, man. I'm an old goalie myself.
To stay relevant, and to stay competitive, at least the equipment is something that I feel I can adapt to. My play style is not going to change. Not going to do it. But a new cage, I'm definitely willing to try and put on and go out there. And it gives me, if it helps me save a couple extra pucks, it's all worth it.
Yeah. I agree. Totally, man. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. So with all that being said, this is the Net Perspective. I'm Gatekeeper. That's Dutch. And we're here with Surjan Singh, the creator of the UNCAGE. And catch you all next time, and get in net.